Okay, let's start with the first chapter of public economics. Now, what we will study what are the scope of public economics under this chapter, what are its importance, then we will try to find out the meaning of this subject, and subsequently we will move to the distinction between private good as well as the public good, and how to determine the optimum level of public good and the private good. Okay. So first comes the meaning. What does this subject imply? So it is a part of economics that deals with the income and expenditure of public authorities. Now what does public authorities mean? It can mean central government, state government or local government. So this subject deals with the sources from which the government is earning its income or revenue. It also studies the projects or the items upon which the government is spending its expenditure. Okay, and it tries to balance this income and expenditure side of the government. So it also studies the management of this income and expenditure of the government. Okay, so under this subject we will try to study what are the methods used by the government to generate income, okay, or to collect revenue. We will also study the method used by the government for making its expenditure, and we will also study the method used by the government for borrowing. Okay, so basically we will study several methods of income, of collecting income, spending expenditure, and collecting or borrowing the fund from the public or from the external world. So the collection of this method is basically known as fiscal operations. Okay, so what have we seen? That fiscal operation and fiscal policies are an important part of public economics. Now why I am saying that fiscal policy is an important part of public economics? See, fiscal policy basically are the policy relating to taxation, public expenditure and government body, and these three things are being studied under this public economics. Okay, these three tools of fiscal policies are extensively studied under public economics. So fiscal policies and their operations are a very important part of public economics, as they tend to affect several variables such as national income, money supply, and standard of living, and in turn they try to impact the life of the nation. So if the national income or money supply or these variables changes, obviously our life, the life of the nation is also getting affected. So therefore fiscal policies and operations are a very important part of this subject as well as for the nation. Okay, now we shall study about the similarities between the private and public finance. Okay, now what are the similarities, and then we will gradually move to the dissimilarities. First of all, both of them are targeted towards one goal, that is the satisfaction of human wants. Now public finance is used to satisfy a collective want, whereas private finance are used to satisfy individual wants. Okay, then both government and public finance, both government and private finance or private hand has a receipt end and a expenditure end, and both of these government as well as the private hand tries to balance between the receipt side and the expenditure side in order to get the maximum satisfaction. And lastly, both government and private finance, in both government and private finance, borrowing becomes very essential. Means borrowing is very important to them, because whenever their expenditures go beyond their income limit, then they need to resort to borrowing. Okay, so for government it is very important. Okay, because in most of the time, even for India, our expenditure tends to be more than our income. So from where do we have to finance this surplus expenditure? We will finance this surplus expenditure by taking borrowing. Okay, similarly for a private individual or a individual as well, if his planned expenditure is more than his income, then you will also have to succumb to borrowing. So these were the similarities. Now we will study what are the dissimilarities between them. Now let us study the dissimilarity between public and private finance. The first dissimilarity is that the fund of public finance are used for collective wants, means they are used for satisfying the collective wants or the wants of the community, whereas the fund of private finance are used for satisfying the individual want. Okay. Then the second dissimilarity is that private finance is motivated by profit. Okay. So where there is profit, there will be high amount of private finance, whereas the public finance is motivated by welfare. Okay. And the resource of or the fund of the private finance is limited. We individual do not have much to spend. Okay, we have a limited amount. We have a budget constraint. Okay, whereas a government does not have a budget constraint. It has unlimited amount of resources. Even if the resources get depleted, then it can resort to borrowing. Okay, and the last dissimilarity is that we being an individual, we always prefer a surplus budget, okay, than a deficit budget. But for a government, balanced budget is desirable. However, in times of inflation or deflation, they may also desire a surplus budget or deficit budget. So the government, for government, the preference for a surplus budget, deficit budget and balanced budget depends upon the nature of the economy. If the economy is witnessing inflation or deflation, then it may also desire to have a surplus or deficit budget. Okay. And last distinction that I have not written over here is that we individual, we first see our income. We first get an idea about how much we are earning, and then we try to plan our expenditure. Okay. However, for government, they first plan their expenditure and then they try to adjust their income to their expenditure. Okay. So these are the basic difference between the public and the private finance. Now we shall study about the importance of public economics. Now the importance of public economics can be studied under three heads. The first category or the first heading is function of the state. Now we know that as the time goes by or with every passing day, the concept of modern state is changing and our state is taking up many important functions. So with every passing day, the functioning of the state is widening. Okay. And to maintain these functions, the government has to incur expenditure. So with every passing day, the expenditure of the government is increasing, and to match up this expenditure, we also have to increase our income. Okay. So what have we seen that with every passing day, our management between the expenditure and income is becoming very important, and in this way the public economics come into the scene. It helps us in managing the expenditure and income side of the government. It also tells us from where the government can earn revenue and from where and upon what projects and what items it should make its expenditure. So public economics, the functioning of public economics or importance is widening with the widening of state functions. Okay. As the state function increases, the importance of public economics is also increasing, because it helps us in managing the functions in form of expenditure and income. Okay. Then comes the effect of fiscal operation. Now we have studied that fiscal operation is an important part of fiscal operation, and fiscal policies are an important part of public economics, and this operation tends to affect various variables which help us in adjusting the economy. Okay. So This fiscal operation can be used in order to allocate resources efficiently. Sometimes, if some project is becoming unproductive, so we can use fiscal operations such as taxation and public expenditure or borrowing to pull the resources out of this unproductive investment and push it towards a productive investment. Okay, then it can also be used in order to promote equal distribution of income. If the income distribution is unequal or unfair, what we can do is that we can impose heavy taxation upon the rich group of people, collect the resources from them and distribute it among the poor section of people. Okay, and thus promote equal distribution of income or fair distribution of income. And then these operations can also be used in case of inflation or deflation. Okay, in times of inflation, as the prices are high and as the money supply is high, what we can do, we can impose taxation, then we can curb public expenditure, we can use reduce credit facilities. Okay, so these things will help us in bringing down inflation. Similarly, in times of deflation, we will use counter inflation method such as reduction of taxes, increasing public expenditure, increasing lending. Okay, so these fiscal operations are used in maintaining stability in the economy. Stability means a economy free from inflation or deflation. Then again, these operations can be used in times of in order to promote economic development. Now, how to promote economic development using fiscal operations? Now, it is very easy. See, if you are willing to promote industrialization or development in agriculture, okay, so what you can do is that you can give a tax rebate to the industrial sector or the agriculture sector, or you can increase the flow of credit towards this sector. So what they will do, they will have abundant amount of funds in their hand and they will be able to invest it in expanding their industries or expanding their agriculture businesses and thus boost up the economy. So these fiscal operations are very important, and these fiscal operations are basically important in maintaining stability, in promoting economic development, in distributing or reallocation of resources, and it is also important in distribution of wealth. Okay, so these important fiscal operations are basically falling under public economics, and thus these operations are in making public economics very important for a nation. Okay, how to use these operations effectively for a nation is studied under the subject of public economics only. Okay, then comes the subject matter of public economy. Now, this is a very subjective kind of answer. Say it is dynamic in nature. The subject matter of public economics is very dynamic in nature, and every day it is changing due to change in the meaning of state, change in the functioning of state, change in the problems of the economy. So due to the changing nature of the state, the meaning and the subject matter of public economics is changing day by day. Okay, so we cannot say anything specific about the subject matter. However, we can say that it is dynamic, as it keeps on changing with the nature of the state, with the functioning of the state, with the problem of the state. Okay. Now, lastly, we have come down to the role of public economics in underdeveloped countries or developing countries. Now, how this public economics is used? Basically, we use the fiscal operations that comes under public economics in order to manage the or to promote development in underdeveloped countries. Okay, so the fiscal operations can be used to counter inflation in underdeveloped economics. Now, inflation is a major problem in underdeveloped economics because in these nations, people take make huge investment uh, in order to promote development, economic development, and in turn, what they do is that they tend to increase the money supply in the economy. First of all, they will take credit and invest it in the uh, major projects, investment projects. Okay, and in this way, they increase the money supply in the economy, and this leads to inflation. So, inflation is a major problem of underdeveloped economy, and how to correct the situation of inflation, or how to fix the situation by imposing heavy taxation, by reducing public expenditure, and several fiscal operations. We have already studied it many a times. So I guess you are very this topic or this concept is very known to you. Then the next is to distribute income equally among the masses. And how to do this? In underdeveloped country, we are suffering from unfair distribution of income among the masses, or among the population. About 80% of national income goes into the pocket of 20% rich that are living in our nation. So the 20% rich occupies the 80% of our national income. The rest 80% of the population has to share the 20% of national income. So how to correct this? By imposing heavy taxation upon the richer class of people, which will help us to collect revenues and collect the money from them, and then we can distribute that money and that resources among the poor 80% of the society. Now again, the fiscal operation can be also used to promote saving and investment, which is basically the engine of development. Saving and investment are basically the engine of development in an underdeveloped nation. The more saving, there will be more investment. Now, how to promote this? How the fiscal operation can help us to promote this? See, if you impose heavy taxation on consumption, say if you impose GST, a high rate of GST, then the prices of goods and services will go up. Okay, so people will refrain from consuming things. Okay, say you want to purchase an iPhone, but due to heavy taxation, the price of iPhone has gone to 3 lakhs. Now you will refrain from consuming it, and what you will do, you will save your 3 lakh rupees. Okay, so imposition of taxation on goods and services will make them costlier and refrain the population from consuming them, and thereby promote saving in the economy. And if there is savings, subsequently it will be followed by a increase in the investment level also. And then comes to this fiscal operation are also used to achieve full employment and economic growth. Just in the previous answer, I have said that we can give tax rebates, or we can give subsidies, or we can increase the flow of credit towards a sector if we want to develop that sector. Okay, say we want to develop the industrial sector. Now we can increase the flow of money towards the sector, we can increase the flow of credit towards the sector, we can give tax rebate to the sector. And these things will help us in increasing the money supply in that sector. Okay, and with that increased money supply, the industrialists might be willing to widen up their production, increase their production, or set up more industries, which will eventually generate more employment. Okay, so in this way, fiscal operation can help us to attain full employment as well as the economic growth. Okay.